Well, a few years ago, I thought, man, how awesome would it be if I just learned how to juggle, like, really, really well? I thought, like, I don't know a whole lot of people who are really good at juggling. Like, I know some people who can mess around with it. But to go to it'd be like a party trick almost, to show up and be like, yeah, well, look what I can do. And if there's 3 or 4 or 5 of something, I just wanted to be able to juggle it, okay? So I started off really simple with like 3 bean bags, and I got to where I could be pretty good with 3 bean bags and just juggling them. But in doing so, I became fascinated with the process, and it almost became something that like I just really like doing, kind of like one of those little fidget cubes, and you just can't put it down for some reason. So I thought, like, what if I learn juggling tricks and stuff, right? What if I learned how to juggle different objects, and maybe even like dangerous objects, you know, like knives? What if I added more to them? 3, 4, 5, and keep going and keep going. It became all I could think about, and I remember being kind of consumed by it, to where I would lay in bed and I would just think about juggling. I would even have like these twitchy things in my sleep. I was watching YouTube videos of people who were really good at juggling, just saying like, oh man, goals, you know? And I spent hours practicing, and it consumed a lot of my thought life and a lot of my time, and what was really happening was I was becoming obsessed. I was obsessed over this thing, like juggling. And now I know juggling is not probably your thing, and you're listening to me thinking like, what a nerd, who is this goober that stands before me? But it's my thing, okay? And I'm good at it. So give me 3 or 4 of something and I'll show you later.
Eggs.
I'll do it. Well, y'all ate them all already, so sorry about the eggs. But like I said, it's probably not juggling for you, but I think everybody knows what it's like to feel that feeling, to be almost obsessed or infatuated with something, or maybe even someone. It might have been that new pair of shoes, or those new clothes, or that new game that you just constantly pestered your parents about. You're like, I want it, I need it, and my life would be so much better if I had it. Maybe there was some TikTok dance that you learned and you just couldn't stop doing it or whatever. Like, you remember when dabbing was a thing and there was all those middle school boys that just like couldn't stop. They're like glitching out about dabbing and like, stop, it's a problem. They're like, it's involuntary, I can't. I know. So it's a thing, it could be a thing you're obsessed with, but it could be a little special someone too. But there's something that when we get fixated on and we become obsessed with, it affects us. And it really does, and you can't tell me it doesn't. Here's what I kind of mean. There was this Florida Georgia Line song, which is the greatest country artist of all time, by the way. And they did this collab with BB Rexa, and there was a song called Meant to Be. And the song was so stuck in my head, and there's like nothing wrong with the song. It's a great song. I mean, top tier, class A, just best, one of the top songs ever made. But it was stuck in my head for like 3 months straight, and I just couldn't get it out. And I remember as a youth pastor, even whenever students were having relationship things go on and I would need to give advice, I would counsel them through the lyrics of that song. I was like, well, if it's meant to be, it'll be, you know? Baby, just let it be. And she's like, did you just call me baby? I'm like, shh, don't worry about it. It's BB Rexa. It's okay. She's the queen. And I kind of passed off those song lyrics as like the will of God. So that's a problem. That's unhealthy. That's obsession to the next level. So obviously we want to avoid that. And we want to learn, what do we do when we find ourselves obsessed with something? Yeah, but because this is a dating series, specifically with someone. And they're all you can think about. Well, in Proverbs chapter 25, verse 16, Solomon, probably one of the wisest, if not the wisest person to ever live. He did live too, bro. He said, if you find honey, eat just enough. I'm not talking about when you find honey. I'm talking about the substance, honey. He's like, eat just enough. Too much of it, and you will vomit. Just like some of y'all did earlier whenever that egg shot into your fat face. So, he said, too much of it and you will vomit. You're like, Rin, what does that have to do with dating? Well, listen to me. Honey was something that people pursued. They knew that they wanted it, that they would like it, but it was also rare. It was hard to come by. You couldn't just squeeze it out of the face of some plastic bear at the time. Like, it was hard to find. You had to go up on a cliff and fight a bunch of bees off and then get it. It was tough. So therefore, honey was expensive. So it was kind of exclusive. It was also the sweetest and naturally occurring substance known at the time. So people wanted it. Honey in itself wasn't bad, it was great. Just like juggling is, it's great. Just like Florida Georgia Line and BB Rexa, great. Just like Xbox and relationships, God made these things and he made them to be good. But people would obsess over it and make it their everything, and they would do anything to get it. And when they would obsess, they would overindulge, and when they overindulged, they would find themselves unhealthy. So you see how a good thing can kind of become a bad thing when it becomes an obsession. We've probably heard it like this: too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Something God intended for good being misused or being overused. And this has been going on since Eden, since the beginning, when God gave us everything. He built it all and he said, yo, this is good. But what did we do? We focused on the one thing that we didn't have. We focused on the one thing that we couldn't have, maybe, right? And it became an obsession, and it resulted in the fall of humanity and the fall from fellowship with the only one who really is enough and who could ever be enough. So my encouragement this morning is don't make anything your everything. Or because it's a dating series, again, when it comes to it, don't make anyone your everything. There is only one who will never leave you, who will never forsake you, who will never let you down. There's only one who is enough. There's only one who is worth obsessing over, and it's not Jenny from science class. I mean, maybe y'all got chemistry, but it ain't Jenny. It's Jesus, okay? And I'm not saying date Jesus. That makes it weird. And I'm not saying don't date that it's evil either. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying be careful. But it's not me who's saying it. The Apostle Paul, one of the most influential followers of Jesus, the Son of God and the Savior of the world, said in Ephesians chapter 5, in this letter to some people, that he was concerned about. He said, be careful how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. I think a lot of us are saying, Ren, like, can I date? Yes or no? Like, what? Yes, is it good or is it bad? Is it wrong or is it right? And that's the question we ask ourselves a lot, but it's the wrong question. We need to be asking not, is it wrong or is it right? We need to be asking, is this wise or is this best? Because dating at this stage of life, it can be wise and it can be good. I think the purpose of dating is largely to discover the characteristics and qualities in the person that we will eventually marry or spend the rest of our life with. And to feel that out in a healthy, God-honoring way, that can be really good at this stage of life. And you can totally honor God in your relationships. And we're going to get more into that as this series progresses. But if your dating life is holding you back from the rest of your life, and you're obsessed with it, whether you're dating now or just you have this idea in your brain, it might not be what's best for you right now. If you're in a relationship, don't abandon the rest of the world around you. If you're not in a relationship, stop thinking that your life can't be good unless you are. If you're compromising on your moral standards because you can't stand to be alone, and you find yourself doing things that you said you never would, it might not be wise where you're at right now. In the next verse, the Apostle Paul says, make the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. He didn't say dating is evil. He said the days are evil. What we can do with it can be evil, just like eating too much honey.